Welcome back to Keep Up News Channel. Prince William is all smiles as he welcomes Donald Trump to the British Embassy in Paris as the US president-elect hails him as a good one. Donald Trump has hailed Prince William a good man and praised him for doing a fantastic job after they met following the historic reopening of the Notre Dame. The Prince of Wales and US president-elect were all smiles when they met at the residence of the British ambassador in Paris tonight. Exchanging another warm handshake with William as he entered the foyer, Trump turned to reporters and said, "Wow, what a nice group." In what was US President-elect's first meeting with a member of the royal family since his landslide election victory last month, he praised the prince, quipping, "Good man, this one." The Prince of Wales asked Trump if he had warmed up, to which the politician replied that he had, noting that the lavish event marking the reopening of the 861-year-old cathedral was a beautiful ceremony. The two men stood next to each other as the Republican pointed his thumb towards William before adding, "He's doing a fantastic job." During their 40-minute meeting, the pair discussed a range of global issues but focused on the importance of the relationship between the UK and the US, with the president-elect sharing fond memories of the late Queen, Kensington Palace said. Prince William expected to meet with Trump for half an hour prior to the glamorous ceremony at the Notre Dame tonight to discuss the US and UK's special relationship. But travel disruption caused by Storm Dara, which has battered parts of the UK, meant the royal had to reschedule his meeting both with the once and future president as well as the current US First Lady Jill Biden. Instead of their originally planned private chat, the First Lady and William were going to have talk on the sidelines of the ceremony, Kensington Palace previously said. After speaking in the foyer of building on Saturday, Trump and Prince William walked upstairs to begin their discussions. Mr. Trump and William sat on light yellow sofas in the Salon John room, which had gold-colored patterned wallpaper, a Christmas tree in the corner and a chandelier overhead. Before the meeting began, William said, "We can warm our toes up after the cathedral," to which Trump smiled and responded, "Right, you're right." The meeting between the US president-elect and the Prince of Wales concluded at around 10:20 p.m. local time, after over half an hour of talks. Inside the 861-year-old cathedral, before what was its first opening since being devastated by an inferno in 2019, the Prince of Wales shared a warm and firm handshake with Trump prior to their private meeting. Greeting the prince in the cathedral, Mr. Trump couldn't resist his famous clasp and yank handshake, moving in with an outstretched hand and grasping the royal shoulder in what body language experts called a display of power and domination. Still, William didn't seem too concerned by Mr. Trump's display of machismo when they met at the ceremonial reopening, sharing a cordial exchange of words before the prince was released from Mr. Trump's grip. It was rather more formal when William greeted French President Emmanuel Macron's 71-year-old wife Brigitte. Instead of planting a continental kiss on her cheek, as Mr. Trump did, the future king limited their exchange to a fleeting handclasp. He did the same with President Macron, whose own handshake with Mr. Trump was, in contrast, far more vigorous, almost awkwardly so. William traveled to France by request of the government for the event celebrating the £600 million restoration of the landmark cathedral, following a devastating fire 5 years ago. The hirsute prince wore a long formal dark navy coat whilst being welcomed by French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte ahead of the historic ceremony. Elsewhere inside the grandiose place of worship, a roaring applause erupted when Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky entered the building filled with 40 world leaders as well as several celebrities, including Elon Musk and Salma Hayek. The beginning of the ceremony was confirmed with the ringing of the cathedral's iconic largest bell, the Borden, which was created in 1683 and named Emmanuel by its godfather Louis XIV. The bell, which was heard ringing at an F-sharp note, is believed to be one of the most beautiful in Europe, weighing at 13 tons and was the only one to evade being destroyed following the French Revolution. Before bells' chimes rang throughout Paris, Donald Trump made his way to the ceremony, shortly after being welcomed by the Macron at the Élysée presidential palace in a meeting attended by Zelensky. President Emmanuel Macron said it was a great honor to host Donald Trump at the Élysée ahead of the ceremony at the Notre Dame. The pair were pictured embracing and shaking hands in what is the president-elect's first international trip since his victory against Kamala Harris in November. The US president-elect said the pair would be discussing a world that's gone a little crazy in their meeting, where Ukraine's Zelensky also attended. Zelensky was seen firmly shaking the hand of the Élysées Director of Protocol Frédéric Billet before entering trilateral talks with the once and future US President as well as Macron. The surprise meeting was of significant importance, as there are fears Trump, who previously bragged he could end the Russo-Ukraine conflict in less than 24, could try and force them to accept peace terms favorable to Russia. Post-talks, the three world leaders were seen posing alongside one another, with Macron putting a thumbs up to the camera, before heading to the 861-year-old cathedral for its first official reopening since 2019. Zelensky has since confirmed that the discussions between the three world leaders were good and productive. He wrote on X, "We all want this war to end as soon as possible and in a just way. We spoke about our people, the situation on the ground, and a just peace." Coupled with a picture of the three world leaders, Macron wrote on the social media platform, "United States, Ukraine, and France. Together on this historic day. Gathered for Notre Dame. Let us continue our joint efforts for peace and security." Images shared to social media revealed that Macron and Trump is sitting side by side at the historic event, whilst Zelensky was nearby to their right. Macron, who has had an up-and-down relationship with Trump, has made a point of cultivating a relationship with the president-elect since he defeated Kamala Harris in the U.S. election last month. But his office nonetheless played down the significance of the invitation, saying that other politicians who do not currently hold office had been invited as well. Elsewhere outside the Notre Dame, a small group of Americans gathered in protest against Trump, according to AP. The protesters held a banner, which read "Paris against Trump," slamming Macron for inviting the U.S. president-elect. "We find this a bit shameful and sad that Trump is invited here, especially since he has gone against everything the church stands for," said Aylar O'Rourke, 34, a spokesperson for the association. "We don't understand why a criminal, a sex offender, a felon, can actually be invited in here." During the reopening of the Notre Dame, Macron thanked the Brotherhood from all continents across the globe for their help in what he described as a leap of faith to rebuild the Notre Dame, which originally took nearly 2 centuries to build, in only 5 years. "Brotherhood from all continents, from all religions, from all walks of life, all united in hope," he said. Concluding his speech to a standing ovation, Macron added, "Notre Dame de Paris has been returned to you, you have made this possible. Long live Notre Dame de Paris, long live the Republic, long live France." Macron also extended his gratitude to the French people regarding the restoration of the iconic cathedral. He added, "We must treasure this lesson of fragility, humility, and will, and never forget how much each person counts, and how the greatness of this cathedral is inseparable from the work of all." Guests and onlookers also applauded for 1 minute in honor of the 160 firefighters who played a key role in saving the cathedral from complete destruction. The word "Merci" was projected onto the side of the building in a display of gratitude dedicated to the emergency responders. Pope Francis, who was absent from the ceremony, said that he hoped the rebirth of the iconic cathedral would constitute a prophetic sign of the renewal of the Church in France. The head of the Catholic Church called for entry into the Notre Dame to remain free as the place of worship opens its doors once more. The cathedral renovation chief, Philippe Jost, said he hoped the Notre Dame's reopening would be a great moment of unity for France and the entire world. Notre Dame de Paris unites. There are so many divisive factors. An event like this must unite, must help concord and peace to grow throughout the world, he said. World leaders, dignitaries, and worshippers also gathered to mark the occasion, led by Archbishop Laurent Ulrich. Due to poor weather, the entire opening ceremony for 1,500 guests were held inside the cathedral itself, the French presidential palace and Paris diocese confirmed. This morning, organizers said 50 miles per hour gusts of wind and heavy downpours would disrupt the evening ceremony. Notre Dame's rector, Reverend Olivier Ribaudot-Dumas, said the cathedral is more than just a French monument and is a beloved treasure of world's cultural heritage. The cathedral is a magnificent symbol of unity, the rector said. A sign of hope, because what seemed impossible has become possible. Saturday's events blended solemn religious tradition with cultural grandeur, starting with Ulrich symbolically reopening Notre Dame's grand wooden doors. Tapping them 3 times with a staff crafted from charred wood salvaged from the cathedral's fire-ravaged roof, the Archbishop officially declared the cathedral open for worship once more. Psalms, prayers, and hymns filled cavernous space as the cathedral's thunderous 8,000 pipe organ, silenced since by the fire, rang out again, as 4 organists performed an improvised interplay of melodies. Security was tighter than usual outside the U.S. Embassy and other sites around Paris for the Notre Dame reopening, where dozens of international VIPs were expected. More than 20 French government security agents have been helping ensure Trump's safety alongside the Secret Service, according to French National Police. A special French police van was providing anti-drone protection for Trump's convoy. There were 6,000 police officers, gendarmes, and military personnel in the area, which includes members of the SAS-style GIGN, the National Gendarmerie Intervention Group, who will provide everything from rooftop snipers to helicopter-borne rapid intervention teams. Mobile weapons systems in the area include Crotal new generation short-range air defense units. Groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS, who have brought terror to the streets of Paris over the past decade, have threatened the Notre Dame opening, meaning the terrorist threat is at its highest, said Paris Police Prefect Laurence Nunez. The reopening of Notre Dame comes at a time of profound global unrest, with wars raging in Ukraine and the Middle East. Security is understood to be tight throughout the weekend, echoing measures taken during the Paris Olympics earlier this year. The Ile de la site, the small island in the River Seine that is home to Notre Dame, will be closed to tourists and non-residents, with access restricted to invitees and those who live on the island. Public viewing areas along the Seine's southern bank will accommodate 40,000 spectators, who can follow the celebrations on large screens. The star-studded concert took center stage inside the cathedral in tribute to its resurrection and to those who labored to restore it, offering a universal message of harmony. Pianist Lang Lang, cellist Yo-Yo Ma, and soprano Pretty Yand were among the world-famous artists who performed. On Sunday, Ulrich will lead the inaugural Mass and consecrate the cathedral's new altar, designed by contemporary artist Guillaume Bardet to replace the one crushed beneath the flaming spire in the blaze. All tickets sold out within 25 minutes of being offered to Catholics online. Nearly 170 bishops from France and abroad will attend, alongside priests from all 113 parishes of the Paris diocese. For Catholics, Notre Dame's rector said the cathedral carries the enveloping presence of the Virgin Mary, a maternal and embracing presence. It is a magnificent symbol of unity, a sign of hope, Dumas said. The range of dignitaries coming to Paris from Africa to the Mideast and the U.S. underline the cathedral's significance as a symbol of shared heritage and peace. The ambitious 5-year restoration timeline was announced just a day after the 2019 fire had seemed improbable to many. It comes as Macron's presidency faces its gravest crisis after the government's collapse this week in a historic no-confidence vote that toppled Prime Minister Michel Barnier. The vote followed months of political gridlock after snap elections, with calls from opposition forces now growing louder for Macron to resign. But he vowed in an address to the nation on Thursday to remain in office until the end of his term in 2027, and said he'll name a new prime minister within days. As France struggles with economic woes and mounting social unrest, Notre Dame's rebirth celebrations form a stark contrast to the crisis. For many, Notre Dame's rebirth is not just a French achievement but a global one. After the reopening, the cathedral is set to welcome 15 million visitors annually, up from 12 million before the fire. Following the 2019 fire, nearly $1 billion in donations quickly poured in from around the world, testifying to Notre Dame's universal appeal. Visitors can now book free tickets to visit the Notre Dame via its website, with the cathedral open to attendees from December 8. During its first week, the cathedral will be open until 10 p.m. but will then return to normal opening hours. Group pilgrimages will be welcome from February 2025, with groups of tourists able to book a tour at the historic cathedral from June 9 next year. Source: dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.